Taehyun's decision to approach the fight with seriousness signaled the need for his theme music to set the tone. However, the gym would soon prove insufficient to contain the intensity of the onslaught he unleashed. Taehyun returned and voluntarily reported to the chairman after discovering that there were students with astonishing scores of 1,900 and 2,300. The revelation left him astonished, unable to believe the magnitude of their abilities. Taehyun asserted that he hadn't fabricated this information. Upon scrutiny, the ladies confirmed the data of both players and had no doubts about their S-rank awaken status, such raw gems that are already surpassing the level of A-rank players, the cream of elite talents. In disbelief, someone remarked, "At this rate, isn't she on par with Japan's Sanctus, the prospect of finally having a Saints-rank player in New South Korea?" Taehyun remained silent, absorbing their words. The Saintess mentioned by the ladies was a renowned player in Japan, a formidable figure whose stats had exceeded 2,500 score at the age of 19. Even that remarkable achievement barely surpassed the 2,500 mark. Taehyun couldn't fathom the extraordinary nature of Taehyun's stats. He pondered whether it was a mere hallucination. Exiting the chairman's office, he resolved to investigate and verify the situation firsthand.
Because of that, Taewook thought about Kim Taehyun and his stats at 5,096. He wondered what's the deal with it. He considered the possibility that it might be a hallucination. He left the office determined to check Taehyun for himself. Back in the main hall, Seo Hundo was utterly shocked. He was kneeling on the ground and wondered how it was possible. Taehyun immobilized the gigantic skeleton by releasing a chain with a thorn that covered the monster, and it slowly extinguished the gigantic skeleton's fire. Jung-jae yelled, "How can this possibly be?" He asked how he can be overpowered by a scumbag like Taehyun. This angered him. "He's an S-rank," he yelled loudly. "I am Lee Jung-jae." And this desperation made him summon every last of his power. But Taehyun just asked him, why the hell does it matter what rank he has? He smirked as he prepared to launch another attack. Jung-jae was caught off guard on what he saw. Taehyun told him that this is the king's power, and several rays of red light came rushing towards Jung-jae. Thus, the attack had hit him. It was quiet outside the main hall, but the silence broke when the main hall exploded loudly from the attack, and Jung-jae was left unconscious on the ground. The main hall was wrecked. Seo Hundo couldn't stop his body from shaking. Taehyun uttered, "Well, this is a surprise. Seo Hundu is blocking him from reaching Jung-jae's body." Taehyun didn't expect his A-rank player to drag Jung-jae out in the middle of Predation taking effect. But it doesn't matter since Taehyun still acquired the skill. Seo Hundu asked him what he's planning to do. So he asked Taehyun how he is going to deal with the aftermath. Taehyun responded that he's being shameless, and asked him again who was the one who picked a fight. Also, Taehyun scoffed and added that he looked like someone who will cower from a threat like that. Even so, he shouldn't worry since he has no plans on killing Jung-jae. In return, Taehyun told him that it's only right that he receives a price for Jung-jae's life. Seo Hundo was caught off guard. Lee Jung-jae is the heir to the Taehyun group and announced that he should get at least 1,000,000,000 won. Outside the main hall, the students gathered and watched as it was being reduced to ashes. A teacher instructed them to get back. The students wondered if it's some attack by a villain or a monster. Part of this crowd is Liam Young. She knew that wasn't the case since the feel of the magic and the fierce flames is familiar to her. She was certain that it was Lee Junja's power. She wondered who on earth was he fighting. She envisioned him bullying Taehyun, which made Taehyun at his mercy. With that in mind, she rushed towards the scene. The teacher was surprised with her sudden action. As she dashed towards them, she had been filled with regret for thinking wrong. She knew she shouldn't have been a simple bystander in the main hall. She blames herself while worrying about Taehyun. She wished for him to make it out alive. Meanwhile, inside the building, Jung-jae is still unconscious. Taehyun stood there right next to his body, and that was the scene Young witnessed when she arrived inside. Kim Taehyun told her that she came at the right time since he needs someone as a witness. He immediately corrected himself and told her that he needs someone to help him move Jung-jae. Young was dumbfounded from the sight before her. Taehyun instructed her to take Jung-jae to the nurse's office, or rather, the hospital. Young finds it suspicious. Taehyun told her that this has nothing to do with him, so she should handle Jung-jae. He told her not to tell anyone that she saw him, and then he announced that he's now leaving. Young yelled wait and demanded a proper explanation. She was left speechless. Meanwhile, Taehyun had gotten far and watched the sky for smoke from the main hall. He thinks that the situation turned out great since Young will handle Jung Jae and the Taehyun group acted on their part 2. So, everything had been settled. He then remembered something and opened his status window. He's still at rank C, but he now has a charm stat. It was at 5, and he received the Monarch's Heart at C rank, which boosts party members' stats. It consumed 10 mana. He was surprised to see the charm since it's an appearance stat for celebrities. Funny enough, he also noticed that the skill that he got isn't Flame Heart, but Monarch's Heart that boosts party members' stats. He didn't know that Jung Jae had a skill like that. He smiled as he thought that it's great, since skills that affect the entire party are rare, regardless of rank. As someone like him who will be using multiple skills, the Monarch's Heart, which allows any skill to be combined, is way better. While walking on the sidewalk, several black cars surrounded him. This surprised him, and the man said finally, "Found you, Taehyun." It was Go Taewook accompanied by several bodyguards. He told Taehyun that he has several questions for him. Taehyun wondered why that guy appeared in front of him. Taewook told him that he will ask the first question. With an intimidating aura around him, he asked Kim Taehyun what he did earlier in the main hall. He wondered if Taewook was asking about the explosion at the gym or the numbers that he saw at the auditorium. But Taehyun couldn't help but wonder if he already knew that he's the culprit and had made his move on him. So he decided to test it. He asked him if he's pertaining to the explosion. Taewook answered what, and then he understood that Taehyun was talking about the fire that they can see from where they are. He answered that it's a problem that other agencies will handle, and then he reminded Taehyun that he hasn't answered yet. In his mind, Taehyun wondered what he needed if he's not talking about the explosion. Taewook asked him again what he was doing at the main hall. Taehyun figured out that it made him smile. Taehyun expressed that the reason Taewook came to see him, he's sure that it's an invitation to the player test. Taewook was flustered, but decided to taunt Taehyun by asking on what basis he would say that. Taehyun slowly emits his power, and he showed it off without holding back, and Taewook and the bodyguards had their mouths wide open from shock. He noticed that it was more powerful than last time. With that, he assumed that the numbers he saw weren't a coincidence or an error. He carefully watched Taehyun as he wondered what he really was. He noticed and asked, "Why are your clothes messy?" That left Taehyun speechless. Inside a mansion, a man was holding his glass of liquor and asked, "What's your point?" He spoke that his one and only son is in the hospital, and as if that wasn't enough, Taehyun asked for 1,000,000,000 won for his son's life. On top of that, it was requested to deal with the whole matter quietly. The dogs beside this man kept barking. Seal Hundu trembled as he apologized. Seal Hundo admitted that he had nothing to say for that. The man answered, "Do what he wants." Seal Hundo wasn't expecting that. The man laughed and commented that Taehyun is quite a guy that piqued his interest. However, he uttered that there must be a worthy reward for the price that they will pay. Seal Hundo was about to beg the man he called Mr. President. He told him that the opponent is still a young kid, and that would be far too cruel. The man told him to stop and threatened him that he would not tolerate a barking dog. This man is Lee Jumsoo, an S-rank player, and the president of the Taehyun group. But before we continue with this recap, if you don't mind, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. From outside their home, Hwan Jae-young can be heard screaming player test. He was fired up as he verified to Kim Taehyun his plans on taking the player test. Taehyun informed him that he will be taking it after a month. Jae-young was overacting. His respect for Taehyun spiked up as he called him different labels, such as King, God, General, Emperor. Taehyun thought of the incident in the gym and was assured that the Taehyun group will do a good job. He also knew that Taewook's suspicions had been eased. Since the exam is in a month, he decided to focus on his training for the meantime. He assumed that there won't be any more problems when suddenly, his phone rang. His phone kept ringing while unbeknownst to him, 2 men had been surveilling his house. A man covered with white bandage choked a bodyguard while asking for the reason why the house is being protected by Players Association. He commented that it's annoying. The other man, who was wearing black overalls, speculated that it might be because the guy is one of those participants in the player test, and the Players Association cares for their participants like crazy. These men are assassins, and they are called the Black and White Brothers. Black has the skills stealth and physical enhancement, while the other guy, White, has the skills stealth. He answered that even if the guy is a participant, he's still just a kid with little experience. So Black answered and settled that maybe it's because the kid is a promising player. But in the end, if they lack experience, it's useless. He told his brother that they will show the kid what the real awakening is. His brother yelled loudly, and he saw that his brother was being choked and punched by Taehyun. Black asked who that bastard was. Taehyun then threw White on the ground. Black was caught off guard when Taehyun's knee met his face that caused his blood to spill. Taehyun told him that he's the inexperienced kid they were talking about earlier. A few hours ago, when the gym was burning, Seo Hundu couldn't believe that Taehyun asked for 1,000,000,000. He explained that even if he kept quiet about the incident, it won't just be him to decide for it. Taehyun told him that he knew that. He explained that he's just asking him to do his best to come to an agreement. He suggested that they would make an oath. The awakened oath is a contract method created by awakened people using magical power. The conditions are simple. Kim Taehyun explained that along with the 1 billion compensation he asked earlier, he asked Seo Hondo to do his best to resolve the incident. Seo Hundu abided by that. When the news reported that the cause of the explosion was a gas explosion and there were no victims, the phone call earlier was from Seo Hundu to notify in advance in any case of retaliation.
You can never go wrong with a good snitch, and Taehyun played it smart, knowing that he is incensed blackmailing a powerful company outright to save face. But we know better than anyone, and that is this Taehyun is only a teenager physically.
Indeed, Taehyun possesses the mental acuity of a seasoned 35-year-old beast that has navigated the abyss during his years as a non-awakened. The survival wisdom derived from such experiences stands as an anomaly. Despite being underestimated for his youth, Taehyun cunningly exploits this oversight. So back to the present time, Black prepared his blade for a counterattack. Taehyun effortlessly evaded all his attacks, and with a serious expression on his face, he prepared for a counterattack. He released his attack, but there was no one in front of him. With 2 blades on each of his hands, Black appeared behind Taehyun, and he launched his attack that made the ground shatter. Kim Taehyun peered behind the crouched Black and stepped on his head. And with a devilish expression, he told Black you can't do anything else. Deciding not to waste any more of his time, Kim Taehyun defeated the Black and White brothers. He wondered why it was happening again. A window notified him that he lacks physical ability, and because of that, Predator was not available due to overload, which only fueled more questions. The Black and White brothers were unconscious and tied up side by side. Kim Taehyun and Go Taewook observed from afar while the bodyguards watched over the Black and White brothers. Taewook thanked Taehyun for informing them. He inquired if he has any clue on who's behind the attack. Taehyun stared at him and replied that he doesn't know. Taewook entertained the idea that the list of participants has been leaked. He planned to request additional guards for the others. In his mind, Taehyun thought that it's best not to tell them about the Taehyun groups. It would only give him more problems. And the most important to him right now is not the Taehyun group, but the fact that he was notified that his physical ability is not sufficient and therefore predation skill is not available due to overload. He wondered what curse skill is that lack of physical abilities to the point where he couldn't use his skills. He thought that it might mean that he has to increase his stats, but he has no idea how to improve his stats since increasing levels by hunting monsters requires predation. This is also the same if he would hunt awakened humans. Taehyun tried thinking what he could do next. One idea came to his mind, but this was really not the ideal way, but he had no other choice. Inside the Blackhead building, a girl named Yuro welcomed the customers. She is a guide at Blackhead's main training center in New Korea. With a smile and a cute posture, She asked how she could serve the customers. Jae-young couldn't believe Taehyun planned to register in Blackhead, where both money and skills are valued. Taehyun gave her his black card and informed her that the two of them were signing up. She saw that the card was SUVIP, and she was surprised. Taehyun asked to confirm if that's enough verification. She couldn't believe that it's the alchemist's SUVIP card, but she knew that accepting them easily could bring some problems. She wondered what she should do. In perfect time, a man who's showing off his muscles said that Yura is in a dilemma, and then this man told the kids that their place is not a place that they could just simply enter through the use of money. Iron Strongman. He is a Blackhead member and known to be a rookie killer. His skill was muscle augmentation, and one of his traits was that he renamed himself. Jae-young was impressed, but for Taehyun, it was a strange name, and he thought that maybe that man is stressed. Other members saw their interaction and gossiped among themselves. They pity the newbies for being approached and falling into the hands of Iron Strongman. Still showing off his muscles on his half-naked body, Iron Strongman asked the kids if they saw how people screamed when they heard his name. So, he suggested that it's better for the kids to leave, but he was cut off mid-sentence when Taehyun asked him what he's talking about, when those people are just weaklings. That made Iron Strongman's eyes sharpen. Iron Strongman asked if Taehyun is saying that he is stronger than him. Taehyun told him that it's up to him on how to interpret that, and if he doesn't trust him, they should just make a bet, and the loser will pay a year's membership fee. This provoked Iron Strongman, making him laugh out loud, and suggested they should begin. They entered a new world where their bodies became pixelated. This new world was filled with monsters. Iron Strongman challenged Kim Taehyun to prove his worth. They're seated, wearing headgear, while people watch their journey in the new world on a big screen. Kwon Jae-young recognized that the location is the Abyss. Yura explained that they are using a virtual training program called Virtual Porter. Virtual Porter sends the player to a virtual reality similar to the Abyss, and one has to carry a heavy load, defeat B-rank monsters, and reach the goal in the short time in the training competition. It is a common method used in training centers for ranking, but they find it very unfair when Kim Taehyun goes up against Iron Strongman. This one laughed out loud as he thought that he would surely win this fight. Iron Strongman yelled that a young man dared to bet against him, especially when his skill of muscle augmentation is unmatched in a fight, and also in movement. He bragged that his skills don't have any defect in Virtual Porter. On top of that, his lift is on a much different level, and he assumed that he would win and get to train for a year for free. But then, a bright light caught his attention. Taehyun moves so fast that only a trail of light can be seen, and the surrounding monsters are instantly defeated. He continued forward despite the monsters blocking his way. In just one big movement, he defeated most of them. He attacked them with a powerful kick. The monsters didn't even have time to counterattack. He immediately finished them off. Taehyun is feeling confident. He continued to attack the rest of the monsters that seemed like they're just waiting for him. And with that, he reached a 999 combo. Iron Strongman couldn't believe it. Taehyun told him that he only planned to attend for 30 days. With the heavy weight on his back, he admitted that it was a pretty tough workout. The onlookers were shocked while Hwang Jae-young stood with pride as he stood there holding a banner that said, "I believed in you." Taehyun faced Iron Strongman, who was far behind him, and told him that he won the bet. He added that he should pay up and get lost. 30 days have passed since the announcement of the changes to the player exams. The day that has been long awaited has finally arrived, the player license test. The host abode the helicopter as she announced that the Players Association has made a change by allowing minors to participate through recommendations. Participants of various ages from all around the country have gathered in the association exam hall. The famous Awakeners are known as unmatched in close-range fights, such as Iron Fist or Hong Jung-wook, an A-ranker. There is also Druid or Lee Gilsan, an A-ranker that has an incredible battle sense that makes S-grade afraid of him. The famous unmatched in Bizan called the Thunder God, Shin Yeon-bok. A grade SC is also present. A girl rumored to have the highest recorded merit among candidates for the exam is a Saintess-level prospect named Lim Ah-yun, an S rank, and there are other uncountable talents scheduled to participate in the test. A girl is out of breath and complaining that the location is very far. She knew that if she failed to report, she would be fired. She is a new sci-economics journalist called Reporter Kim Jija. Her skill is typing and her purpose is interviewing and taking photos of exam candidates. She's way behind the line, and she knew that because of that, she won't be able to interview candidates and take pictures. She complained that being in grade E is useless. Taehyun is walking behind her. She turned to him when she heard him cursing and complained that there were so many people. He complained loudly that with that kind of crowd, the test taker couldn't enter. Reporter Kim Jija clearly heard the words test taker. She looked at him while he's being stressed because of the crowd. He uttered how much it sucks. She recognized him as one of the candidates. She approached him to ask if she could interview him. From a bird's eye view, people were like ants around the association hall. Kim Taehyun is being called by the staff since the test is going to start in a few minutes. He explained that he was almost late because he had a sudden interview. He told her that he will be right there and he planned to build his image from the start. There were lots of examinees, and they all had a badge with their number. They looked around, and they were surprised. Even a Young is shocked. Taehyun noticed her staring at him. But Young did not expect him to be there. Taehyun was also shocked to bump into her and addressed her as the class president. She asked him what happened to his body, and he explained that it was because of the bit of training that he had. Young doubted what he said. She knew that he had awakened, but not like this. Then she proceeded to ask what happened to Lee Jung-jae last time. But her question was not answered as they were interrupted when they heard an announcement. The person addressed all of them as the young heroes who bear the future of the new South Korea, and congratulated them for being there. He told everyone that they are in the first trial place for those who aspire to become players. He instructed them to look at their chest since there should be a number on their trial card. In the first trial, they are asked to collect 5 cards including theirs, which means if they don't have any card, they are out. They have a time limit of 1 hour, and every method is allowed except murder. The players were surprised by a sudden shift in the room when the whole layout had changed. And with that, the man announced the start of the first trial.
If you're finding this story engaging, feel free to drop a comment below. I'd love to discuss the unfolding narrative and hear your thoughts. And if you're enjoying the tales shared, don't forget to hit that like button. For more captivating stories like this, simply click on any of the links by my side, and together, let's dive into more immersive worlds. Your feedback and interaction make this journey all the more exciting.